In what cases can you choose a door to a dwelling which is actually somewhat lower than what the requirements state that it should be? There are some exceptions, and let's do a little sketch here and show you. In Sweden, we have a requirement of DNTW 100 of, it's actually, sorry, should be at least 44 dB for a normal dwelling. Now, if you have a, let's say, a one-room apartment where you have bed, toilet perhaps here, and a kitchen, and then you have the entry here. I'm just making stuff up as I go. In this case, it's pretty obvious. You need a proper door. You should not go below the requirements here, because this person who lives here is going to be exposed to noise from the stairwell. So this door needs to have proper sound insulation. However, there can be other cases. Let's see if I can improvise. If you have an apartment like this, and then perhaps you enter here, and then you have straight to your left when you enter, you might have some kind of, the toilet is here, and then on the other side it could be perhaps some closets, and then a little hallway, pathway here, and then you have, maybe here is kitchen, and then you have bedroom here, and then the living room part is perhaps here. So you get some corner sofa here or something. And in this case, you actually get some attenuation with distance, because here the important thing is that you get these 44 decibels from the stairwell and into the space where people actually spend their time. And that means that the sound has to travel through this little corridor, and then it can enter the apartment. And here, on this little path here, it might lose a decibel or two, and maybe that's just enough so that you can get by with a little bit simpler door than what would otherwise have been necessary. And this can be a problem sometimes when you have special doors, like if there's a lot of glass on them. Maybe you cannot find doors that have high enough sound insulation to actually fulfill this requirement in this position, because in this case you need to fulfill the requirement really straight, just as you enter the apartment. Whereas here, I don't think it's as obvious that you need to have perfect sound insulation here, because you just go in here, you take off your shoes and you walk in. But in here, up here, it's more important that you have the right sound insulation. But then you, as I mentioned, you got the attenuation with distance here, and there are other surfaces that the sound has to go and bounce against like this, and dong dong dong, and it's going to lose a bit of energy on its way into the apartment. And that means that when you do a measurement here, so that even with a somewhat easier, simpler door here, you might still get 44 dB. And that's the exception that can sometimes be useful. And this also means that it's quite obvious. You cannot say with acoustics that there's one size fits all. Everything is a matter of interpretation on how will you use the room in question, and how is the disposition of rooms and everything. There's a lot of parameters here that has an effect that we need to take a holistic approach to this problem before we can give a clear answer of whether it will work or not. And in today's video, I want to talk about shoes. Driving mocks in particular. These are wonderful if you go out and drive a lot. These are my favorite shoes. And when you wear these, I think they usually look best when you don't have any socks on you. So you get the skin and then the pants. But however, that might be a bit, you introduce sweat and nasty stuff into your shoes. And that's where these ones come in. It's like small socks that are invisible. So you take these ones on and you got your socks, but when you have your foot in them, you won't see them, but they are in there still. And that could be quite useful. So if you're gonna go the sockless look, get a pair of these. They're great. And just this little detail you see here, when you're in the car and you got this one on the floor and gonna operate the pedals, they're made for driving and they're very, very comfortable. If you're gonna go out and do long walks, they are not comfortable, but for driving, I think it's perfect because you will be stylish and comfortable, which is a good combination. See ya.